What about you, Michael? Underground bases.
Well, from the time in 1976, being an info, I've just been transferred from base to base, underground base, all around the world, and then farmed out to the topside civilian community for 6 months here and there, and then back underground. So it's just been going top and bottom for my...
So you have a pretty wide familiarity with various underground bases, you would say?
Yeah, I mean, San Antonio is a big hub nest of entrances, and
okay, since you did bring up San Antonio, you're obviously aware of this, both of you have to be aware of the secret space program.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told there's a command and control center, for example, in Phobos. Have you ever heard that?
The moon?
Phobos. It's a moon of Mars.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I've heard of that. I've heard about that, yes. I don't know details on it, but I mean, I've read that.
It supposedly changed directions out of orbit.
Recently?
I don't know about recently.
Okay, well...
I think that's the whole Houston space program. That's why we're down there too. I mean, there's definitely connections with the space program. I've seen it on fire, and I remember so much with the space program.
I've been in Houston in the last year as well, I was right by the NASA.
Mm-hmm.
The whole NASA thing.
Well, San Antonio and Houston would be connected by an underground base.
And Dallas as well.
It's all, yeah, it's heavy, the space programs, obviously.
But I had a communication with somebody about that.
Hmm.
So have either one of you gone to Mars, for example?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And would you agree that the surface Mars we see is not the Mars you went to?
It looks like Phoenix, Arizona, some areas of Mars.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly like it. There's apartments there,
Mm-hmm.
buildings.
Is it really cold, like NASA?
It's almost identical to Phoenix, Arizona. The weather's similar, the mountains
The
there.
sky is blue.
I
So
think
sky's
that's why
blue, yeah.
Sedona is that, it's called that area.
Because
Yeah.
Cydonia.
I
Yeah.
totally agree
Yeah.
with that. Yeah.
I mean, they could even ship people to Mars and tell them they're in Phoenix, Arizona,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't know the difference.
Okay. When you were at Mars, did you first of all, did you go there using sort of any kind of corridor? In other words, did you teleport? Do you know the means by which you went?
There was two different, from the memories that I had in 2008, there was two different ways. One was when I was much younger, and that was through a door, and that was immediately there. The other way, I was more of an adult, and there was a countdown to appearing. Things would come on a screen, and it would say 15 seconds to Mars, 10 seconds to Mars, 5 seconds to Mars, and then it would be there. It was almost like I was contained within something, traveling there, but it would only take 20 to 30 seconds.
Okay. How about you?
I mean, I've been involved in more of the advanced space command with the huge big triangle ships, but I've also been involved in standard rocket launches as an astronaut with just the spacesuits on,
Okay.
as standard rockets.
Cool.
And they're going down from, places like Peru, rocket launches in Peru, going up to the moon and things. So it's on my file that I've been involved in the Clavier space on the moon.
Okay, but what you're talking about would be very old school technology. So when you say a black triangle, for example, are you familiar with the Venture Star?
No, not familiar with that term. No.
Okay.
With that, the launches in Peru, they were doing standard rocket launches, like NASA style, old school, with an astronaut suit on, then blasting off to the Space Command in the outer atmosphere. And then you're going on more advanced ships there to Mars.
Okay.
So it's all done, it's covering it up.
Recently, there was supposedly some kind of a battle between what appeared to be a black triangle, a very large black triangle in South Africa, and a UFO of possibly a cigar shape, but a very large UFO, and I guess the military. There's a base there, somewhere in Cape Town area. Did you hear about that?
Not familiar with that, no.
Okay, there was gunfire. it appears that perhaps people at the base were firing at one of the UFOs, not sure which one. One of them could have been ours, in other words, one of our space program craft, and one of them may have been an off-planet vehicle. You're aware that there is a war going on, right?
I think the cigar ships are reptilians ships, but it's all, the whole war going on is a reptilian war, as you mentioned anyway. There's different extraterrestrial races, of course, but most extraterrestrials now, regarding the Earth situation, have aligned with one of the two factions.
Between the what?
Fourth Reich and the opposite Zionist faction. So it's kind of, the battle lines are being drawn.
But in terms of the ETs, what are you talking about? Two different reptilian factions fighting each other?
Yeah, two different reptilian, but it's almost, well, it's not almost like, the other extraterrestrial races that have been hovering around out there have all aligned with one or the other. So it's just the battle lines have been drawn now, it's one or the other. It's like it goes back to the old Luciferian wars a long time ago. It's like history repeating itself.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's history repeating itself.
Okay. So what about do you know who Clark McClelland is? You don't know? He worked with the Apollo astronauts. He was the one who came forward and talked about seeing an Anunnaki on the space shuttle, giving orders to our American astronauts. He anyway has the website. I think it's called Stargate Chronicles or something like that. Anyway, he has come forward a number of times over the years, but recently I interviewed him. He talked about Aldebaran, and that there was a ship on the way here from Aldebaran, and Aldebaran has always been considered, in a sense, the home of the Fourth Reich type group. So does any of that ring a bell? In other words, would that make sense? Have you heard about Aldebaran? Have you had dealings with this area of space?
There's
I think there's more than one. There's an Aldebaran system, and there's more than one.
I think Aldebaran's actually a star with planets around it. And well, since I was a young child, I was involved with one particular spacecraft. It was a huge black triangle, and it's an Aldebaran craft. It's very old, but it's known by U.S. Air Force Space Command's Calliope, and that stands for Catalyst Accelerator Long Range Audio Platform Orbital Platform Intelligence Apparatus. So it's a bit of a mouthful, but Calliope, and that, like I said, that's an Aldebaran ship, and it's very old, and it orbits the Earth, and but it has a U.S. Air Force Space Command symbol on the side of it. But it's almost like they sponsor it, but it's not one of their craft.
Sounds like though it's got an AI on board.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a female AI.